Welcome everybody to my top 10 darkest anime ever. My name is Misty /Chronexia, and I don't think you're ready for what I have to offer to you. And this list is gonna be pretty troublesome, and I'm not talking about weak dark anime like Psycho-Pass or Untitled Chapter. I mean, they were good, but I'm looking for some downright disturbing shows. Anime that leaves you with a scar once you're done with them. So if you think you got enough metaphorical balls to handle it, well, sit tight, drop your purse, and let's roll this list.
そんな腐るようなものないはずなんだけど、もうやだ。早く窓を開けてよ、アキ。
Number 10, Yo Tokyo Fish Attack. Alright, I legitimately watched this anime last night. It's made by Ufotable, but everywhere I looked, it had garbage reviews. It piqued my curiosity, and after watching it, I kind of understand the reception. Honestly, I found the watch quite captivating, but it has a pretty big flaw that just sours the experience. It had an interesting premise about half machine, half fish monsters invading the world. Then it tossed in zombies element, and 3/4 of the movie, it's like the creator said, "Alright, now what?" The ending is nonsensical and there's several plot holes, but the execution wasn't bad, it just needed more finesse. It definitely had an eerie vibe going on, heavily focused on rotten scent, which I find was a nice approach. Try it out for yourself, but expect a lackluster ending.
すみません。私、
別にいいよ。ショックだったろうしね。
シャワーまで貸してもらって。
こちらこそこんなところで悪いね。君の家まで送りたかったけど。
今のは、
Number 9, Dansai Bunri no Crime Edge. Dansai Bunri no Crime Edge is not really a show people would expect on this list, but hear me out. This anime freaks me the fuck out. The whole concept of the show revolves around Iwai, a girl who has a curse on her. Anyone who kills her gets a wish granted, in a nutshell. There's a guy who has an unhealthy fetish for hair. Well, cutting hair, that is, and he can't cut Iwai's hair because they're magical or something like that. So he ends up being her bodyguard in this free-for-all lethal game. It's not incredibly ominous, but the thematic and the characters made it really worth a mention on this list. It's not an anime lots of people talk about, mostly because it's alright at best, but if you're looking for something new, it's here.
人を切った殺人鬼がいる。
なんだって。
私は
寂しかったか。ごめんよ、一人ぼっちにして。初恋か。鋭いな、先輩も。
Number 8, Le Portrait de Petit Cassette. Sorry, I should probably try to mask my French accent on this one. Le Portrait de Petit Cassette? Get ready to be hella upset after watching this one. Cassette no Shoujo is about an art student who one day meets the image of a girl in an empty glass. He falls in love with her, and she tells him the only way they can be together is if he takes on the sin of the murderer. No amount of showers can wash away how you feel after watching this anime. It's 3 episodes, 35 minutes long, and it came out in 2004, so I understand if you're too much of a wuss to give it a try. I mean, doll-like girl with spirit stuff and the horror tag. Don't worry, nobody would judge you if you wanted to sit this one out. But please do take your purse on your way out. Wow, 2 purses jokes in a video? Really mature coming from a guy with a girl's name? Hey, you fucking leave my name out of this.
血の契約を交わしてくれる人。呪われし鬼物たちの魂を救ってくれる人。
ある程度太くない太ももは太ももとは呼べ。
じゃあ、細もも
Number 7, Haku no Hana. Haku no Hana is not your typical horror story. As a matter of fact, it's not even your average anime. The art style is a deal breaker for a lot of people who don't even want to give it the time of day. But if you do, you might find an anime even more unsettling than any horror show you could have seen before. The story is about Kasuga, a teenager who loves a book called Les Fleurs du Mal. Again, my French accent, sorry, I'm French. He has a crush on a girl, and one day he steals her gym uniform. Another girl sees him, and there's a weird power play that gets inserted in the dynamic of the characters. It's definitely not a show I recommend to everyone, plus, like I said, it's not really a gore slasher anime, it just made me feel uneasy. Still to this day. But see for yourself if it's something you're interested in.
人のこと言えんのかよ。 お前俺と同じようなもんだからな。
違うね。俺は本を読んでいる。
だからなんだよ。
お前に理解できんのか、文学が。
俺さ、
何としても聞き入れていただかねばならぬことゆえ。来たる9月の24日。
Number 6, Shigurui. Shigurui is pretty dark when you realize what the premise is all about. During the Edo period in Japan, there's a lord who holds fighting tournaments. Those were fought with wooden sword. Well, they used to be. Now they've upgraded to real blades. The story is about two students of Kogan who are eager to prove themselves. Here's where it gets dark. One is blind, and the other one has a missing arm. It's like the Paraplegic Olympic Games, Japan edition. Is that in poor taste? It's probably in poor taste. I don't care, I've made worse jokes. Anyway, try out this show if you have an appeal for swordsmanship, or samurai, or historical, or arguably any dark anime out there. It's a fair pick.
出るな、藤木のつばぜまり。あれはつらい。参ったを言わせてくれぬからな。
Number 5, Technolize. When you say dark anime, Technolize is both a high contender and an underground gem. The story happens in a crumbling city called Wax. There is 3 types of people in it. Organo, which is essentially a crime organization, mafia-like that control prosthetics. Then there's a group that tries to disrupt them, and finally people who use the prosthetic themselves for their personal gains. One day, an orphan, who's a fighter, goes full metal alchemist. I mean, he loses an arm and a leg, and he gets those replaced with Otomels, Technolize. Then he starts working for Organo, the mafia one, and meet a girl who can see possible future. It's a show I really dug my teeth in, and I thought it'd be a perfect occasion to bring it up.
Ne, 地獄通信って知ってる？午前0時にホームページに書き込むとどんな恨みでも晴らしてくれるってやつ？そうそう。
Number 4, Hell Girl. I mean, it hardly gets darker than having an actual girl from hell coming back up to hunt you. The plot is pretty straightforward. Each episode is kind of unique on its own. By that I mean there is very little continuity between each. People wish upon the Hell Girl for punishment or to exact their revenge upon someone, and well, she executed regardless of the request. In exchange, however, people have to pay back with their soul, in which they will spend eternity in hell. It's your Japanese version of a deal with the devil. The execution is nicely done, and some episodes legit inspire spook in me. Not all of them, mind you. After a while, the formula kind of lose a bit of its sparks. But considering a new season is coming out in 2017, I think it's worth re-mentioning this show.
恨み聞き届けたり。
本名は後になって知りましたが、常子というそうです。私が殺したと言われている女です。
Number 3, Aoi Bungaku series. I like to compare Aoi Bungaku to kind of like the Japanese Twilight Zone equivalent. This anime is about a compilation of 6 stories from famous literature that got adapted to the screen. No Longer Human, which is one of them, is about a high school student who gets sucked up in drugs and depression. You got Forest Under Cherry in Full Blossom, which is about a girl who has Stockholm Syndrome. Then you have Kokoro and Run Melos, which are tales about friendship, and 2 more which are about hell itself. If you like to have stories within stories, Aoi Bungaku is a show I find severely underrated and I think is worth much more praises. Look it up if you feel brave.
そうか。
なんだかね。
リール、昨日どの部漆黒のとこ行った？
いいんだよ。どうせまたおじいさま小言ばっかだ。
Number 2, ERGO PROXY. I think everyone can agree that ERGO PROXY definitely fits the bill when it comes to dark anime. The story is about humanity's decline where a global ecological catastrophe doomed the whole city of Rondo. Now people can't go outside, but there's a silver lining. There's humanoid robots who are there to give a hand. Of course, that was the original intention, until a virus started to spread, and now some of those robots have begun to hatch self-awareness, conscience pretty much. It's up to Real to investigate this situation. ERGO PROXY is a very deep anime. It came out in 2006, but it aged really well. If you like a story that kind of brings you existential question, I think it's one you should seek out.
もう一つ分かったことがある。だからイギー、本部のデータバンクにアクセスして同タイプの事件をファイリングしておいてくれ。
Oh, but I can already see you prepared that dislike click like a true vigilante defender of the internet. Fear not, thy holy grace, for I have honorable mention in store for thee. Let's go, lightning round! Paranoia agent, nothing scarier than a 12-year-old on a roller's case, you'll shit your pants. Monster, story about a doctor who loses his mind, it must be lupus. Higurashi, bunch of children murdering other children, like watching Sesame Street all over. Another, Final Destination the anime featuring The Rock in the role of the Umbrella. Shaky, vampires take control of small towns, shit's so dark you'll have to boost the brightness of your screen. Elephant lead, retarded girl is also a psychopath girl, body parts not included. Corpse party, kids locked up in a school, body parts definitely included. Ajin, anime in 3D? Now you know that's fucking dark. Guns, people in latex suits get stuff aliens, would be a hentai if it wasn't for all the blood. Serial experiment lane, little girl figures out how to go online on her computer. In the 90s, woo! And finally, number 1, Shinsekai Yuri. Yeah, it's my number 1 pick. What you gonna do about it, huh? Arguably, it's a very subjective pick on this one. I think it's the show that marked me the most, maybe because it's totally not what I had in mind when I jumped into it. The show had an unsettling eeriness that keeps you watching but makes you feel very uneasy all the way through. Kind of like reading a good horror story. The plot is about a small village that lives in an utopia world, and where people with psychic kinetic powers get handled differently. I don't want to give anything away out of the story, but it's a definite must-try. If you've been postponing it, now's a good time to catch up.
猫だましにあっても知らないからね。見たことあるの？ねえよ、見たら食われてるよ。最初は襲わないとか言ってなかった？僕も聞いた。
Hey, congrats, you made it all the way through. That's an achievement on its own. You should reward yourself by giving me a like and subscribing to my channel. I do top 10 list every Friday, and the rest of the week, I do, well, anything else than top 10s. I'm the best channel on YouTube to discover new anime to watch. You won't get that experience anywhere else. Don't believe me? Check out these testimonies.
Misty's good, yeah. Not great though. I'm great. But he's okay. Yeah. We really just like kind of we're more friends than like work partners, acquaintances. He's a good friend though. He's a good friend. Yeah.
Subscribe to Misty. What do you want me to say? Chronexia? Chronex? I don't know what that is. Also, why is my face blurred out? Unblur that shit. Okay, I'm not saying subscribe to Misty Chronexia. Actually, unsubscribe from Misty Chronexia. Subscribe to me, Master of Doom. I make much better YouTube videos. Isn't that right, doggy? Wait a minute. Dogs can't talk. Also, how the fuck did you get in my kitchen?
See, what did I tell you? The best around. See you next week, fuckers.
I've been through the hard times, I've been on the wrong side, I've been ashamed. So many memories, you know I'd like to change.